obviously, we were all appalled at the demise of the Corbyn project, right? 2019, we were all in mourning, weren't we? Many of us, maybe some of you were more prescient and realised that it wasn't worth devoting your lives to, but for many of us, the previous 5 years had been a time of hope, and we had invested a lot of our energy and our political expertise and energy into trying to build a movement which would which would shift the relationship of power and wealth in this society by supporting Jeremy Corbyn and the project within the Labour Party. Our hopes were dashed, as you all know. And I think that the hope that we now invest in the new project is based on the failure of that one, and the insistence that what was underlying that movement is still there. All that energy in our communities, all the campaigns, it's still there, and we need it desperately to bear fruit. So the problem that we now have is a movement where there is not a great deal of transparency, where there is not a great deal of openness, where it's difficult to see where accountability lies in the organisation which is building up. So how did this kind of happen? Well, I'm sure you'll remember that after the failure of 2019, almost immediately a clamour arose when Jeremy was forced out of Labour. Jeremy, why don't you create a new party? Do it now. We need it, do it now. And Jeremy's response, and that of many of us, including Ken and myself and others in this room, I'm sure, said, well, hang on a minute. What we really need and what we've lacked all these years is a movement which is grounded in empowered communities, where activists, campaigners, people from all walks of life, who are the many and need to seize power from the few, they needed to be connected together and to build some sort of new movement, which may eventually have the power to challenge electorally and so on, seize power. So, in fact, Ken and myself and a few others, you may remember, were involved in forming something called the For the Many Network, which actually launched in Liverpool. Note the date, October the 9th, 2023. So that was 2 days after that event in Palestine, which transformed the global political landscape. But that's when we launched. And almost simultaneously, comrades who had been members of Jeremy Corbyn's team when he was leader of the opposition started working together to bring together experienced activists with the aim of building a new party headed by Jeremy. So there were sort of two tracks going on at that point 2 years ago. Some of us joined that initiative while continuing to prioritise and advocate for community-based mobilisation. Well, the project to build the new party around Jeremy continued, and during campaigning for the May 2024 elections, local government elections, it worked under the banner Collective. Some of you may remember that. And it was at that point supporting an independent councillors' initiative, No Ceasefire, No Vote. Remember that? Where there were local candidates in elections who were saying, we will not vote for anybody who is not opposing the ongoing genocide in Gaza. And that was quite a substantial movement. By the time the July election came about in 2024, Collective was in a position to support a number of independent candidates. And they did do that. And of course, as we know, in July 2024, 4 of those candidates won stunning victories. One of them was Jeremy, of course. And there were others in places that Sir Jackie mentioned in the Midlands who won victories on a no genocide ticket, and there were also in Starmer's and Streeting's constituencies successful campaigns which nearly deprived those two people. They deprived them of so many votes that in Streeting's case he could have lost. Liam Mohammed did a fantastic job there. But the environment changed so rapidly after Starmer entered number 10. The media allowed Farage to set the political agenda. Labour's accommodation to the far right on immigration and race, its adoption of the austerity agenda, targeting the weakest in society, its preference for military spending over foreign aid, and above all, its connivance in Israel's genocidal assault on the people of Palestine. It all went further and faster than even the most cynical of us could have predicted. So the formation of a left alternative became increasingly urgent. We didn't have one at that point. We had various initiatives ongoing. Should it be an electoral organisation? If that was what was needed, did it have to have Jeremy as a leader? Was that the key feature of it? And if its goal was to be winning votes, how could it avoid becoming a sort of Labour Mark II, in which the members would be kind of election fodder, campaign fodder, if you like? So these questions were kind of discussed within the collective, but the answer given there was, yes, it had to be an electoral organisation, yes, it had to have Jeremy as its leader, and no, we don't want Labour Mark II, but we won't kind of address how we're going to avoid that happening. By the spring of 2025, there was palpable impatience in our movement. People were looking for answers and not getting them. They weren't getting any leadership. An initiative called We Demand Change popped up. They put out a statement called Turning the Tide on Despair. It was largely run by, I think, by the Socialist Workers' Party. People here may know more. But it began organising quite large gatherings with slogans like inspire action and build collective power. But nobody really talked about how or who, It was all very airy-fairy. So by May of 2025, comrades working hard to build independent movements in our communities were feeling desperately in need of a national focus, asking themselves how local energy can be harnessed to form a democratic bottom-up movement. All this waiting around for pronouncements from on high just seemed incredibly unhealthy at that point. In early June, there were things going on within the collective, and it turned out after a couple of weeks that Jeremy Corbyn, had called together a number of significant individuals, we didn't know who they were, to make plans for launching a new party. Now, this all went on very secretively. Something called an organising committee was created, but membership of the organising committee and the nature of the discussions it was having were not revealed, even to members of this collective, which was supposed to be, organising things from the ground up. Then, lo and behold, on July the 3rd, I'm sure you remember this, Zarah Sultana, MP, announced that she was leaving Labour. And she posted on social media, today, after 14 years, I'm resigning from the Labour Party. Jeremy Corbyn and I will co-lead the founding of a new party with other independent MPs, campaigners and activists across the country. Join us, the time is now. And of course, everybody went hysterical with joy and started rushing around signing up to Zarah's call. Things did not go well after that. There was apparently a meeting of the organising committee on that day, July the 3rd, at which a co-leadership model was approved with no votes against. But then, things didn't happen in any informative way for most of us, did they? Those in the know continued to work behind closed doors. This gave rise to considerable unease, which persuaded myself and Ken and Audrey White and a few other people, Ian Hodson from the Bakers Union, a few other people, to put out a call to all the people we could think of who might be behind these closed doors, saying, get your act together. People in the grassroots need to know what's going on here. We want some democratic accountability, and 80 activists signed that call. Then on July the 24th, a statement came out signed by both Jeremy and Zarah announcing a website where you could sign up if you wanted to get involved in something new called Your Party and get involved with arranging participation in an inaugural conference. Sorry, I'm stammering a bit tonight. As you all know, within days, 650,000 people had signed up. That number has grown to 750 or more. I made myself a big historical note about this some weeks ago, so I'm just referring to it. Where we are now is that we still don't really know who's in charge. On August the 1st, we got an email, that everybody who signed up got an email, saying that Jeremy and Zarah will now be working with their colleagues in the Independent Alliance. Shaukat Adam, Adnan Hussein, Ayub Khan, Iqbal Mohammed, to kickstart the founding process and make an autumn conference a reality. Now, what did this mean? Where did these Independent Alliance MPs suddenly become part of the leadership, apparently, of this new movement? We weren't really told. What discussions went on to suggest that that was the way to go? We don't know. On August the 4th, members of the collective had their first meeting for a month because it had been shut down with the furore over the announcement of Zarah's resigning and forming a co-leadership with Jeremy. Had its meeting, and we were informed that the organising committee, whoever that was no longer operational, and the new leadership team working on founding the conference for the new party was the IA, as they call it, the Independent Alliance of MPs. Again, why? Who decided? On what basis? We don't know. So things went on. You'll have seen the chaos. I won't go into the details because it's quite painful. On September the 18th, Zarah's team launched a membership system for your party. 20,000 people signed up at that point. Some say it may actually have been more. Confusion rapidly broke out. People on the Corbyn team were saying it's a hoax, it's fraud, don't sign up, if you've paid them, demand your money back, etc., etc. It got really nasty and unpleasant. And again, petitions and letters went out from people like myself and Ken and a whole load of other people saying, sort yourselves out, comrades, we've got an important job to do here. You've heard here tonight why we need a new party that really serves the interests of the working class. It didn't seem to be happening. But then, on Wednesday the 24th, an email went out alongside a video message from Jeremy saying that a new membership portal was being announced and we would be working again towards the original roadmap. I don't want to go on any more about the fine detail of what has happened since then, because it remains disturbing. And I hate to do this because, I mean, I'm speaking in forums like Crispin Flintoff's show, for example, on Sunday morning. And Jackie came on and said some of these things, and I said some of them, and Ken said some of them. And lots of people were saying, yes, good, we need to hear this. But others were saying, don't be so negative. We need this to work. Just let's do it. However, we don't care who's running it. Let's just get on and do it. I do understand that. I really do. But I think, I mean, I must say I'm not in a position to be able to offer guidance to people in Thanet as to how it will work here locally for you. That's entirely up to you and your local communities and your organisations. But if we are going to have something which is strong, which is well grounded, which has members who feel empowered and who have genuine input into decisions, the sort of thing I imagine Ken spoke about because I was speaking to him yesterday and exchanging messages today. We need to know that our input is going to be taken into account in a proper, transparent, accountable, democratic way when it comes to deciding what will our policy statement look like. How will the organisation be structured as we go forward to a founding conference and after the founding conference until we're at the point where we will have elected structures in place? So I hope this isn't very gloomy, but I think it's important that we do know and understand where this movement came from. And I kind of get the feeling now that the frustration which was apparent as far back as 2019 when Jeremy was first forced out of Labour and people first started talking about the need for a new party, that frustration is now in danger of pushing people into saying, we'll take anything will do, as long as it's something new and something different. But personally, as somebody who speaks in a lot of meetings and joins a lot of forums online and so on, I can feel that enthusiasm and that sense of empowerment and excitement ebbing away, and that's terrifying. We mustn't let that happen. How can we keep on generating that enthusiasm and build a genuine movement from the bottom?